Happy Wednesday afternoon. It is 12:10 on Wednesday, March 18th. This is a full health subcommittee. We are on our last calendar. We're working through it. We've got a busy day, but first and foremost, any members have any special comments or people to recognize? Representative McKenzie, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to acknowledge some folks in the audience today from the Tennessee Counseling Association. If they'd like to stand, let's give them a round of applause.
Any others before us? I'm not seeing any. We'll take care of some house items first, house cleaning items. Off notice number 13, House Bill 2201. Off notice number 17, calendar HB 2421. Off notice number 29, HB 2554. Off notice number 30, House Bill 2555. Off notice House Bill 2556. Off notice House Bill 2107, item number 35. Off notice. And item 8, House Bill 413, off notice. With that, we will go slightly out of order because we've got a member needing to move to another committee for a minute. So that will bring us to, oh, sorry. If you guys don't mind logging in on your keypad, and then Mr. Clerk, open the roll for Mr. Clerk, take the roll.
Mr. Chairman, you have 6 members present. You have a quorum.
That works. Thank you, guys. So let's move on now to House Bill number 10 by Chairman Hicks. Get a motion. Second. And a motion and a second. I believe you do have an amendment traveling with the bill.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. 015579.
And a motion and second. That is properly before us. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You are properly before us, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. This amendment modernizes Tennessee law to reflect the current education and national certification standards of licensed athletic trainers. Athletic trainers are licensed healthcare professionals who are often the first and only medical provider present when an athlete is injured at school, practice, or sporting event. This legislation ensures they can respond appropriately to medical emergencies such as severe reactions, diabetic emergencies, overdoses, heat stroke, or dehydration. These are time-sensitive situations where minutes and sometimes seconds makes the difference between recovery and tragedy. More importantly, this bill does not allow athletic trainers to practice independently. All care remains under supervision and direction of a licensed physician with standing orders, proper protocol, and required training. This amendment also strengthens licensure requirements, ensures trainers meet national certification standards, and protects the public by preventing unqualified individuals from representing themselves as athletic trainers. At its core, this bill is about protecting student athletes, providing emergency response, and aligning Tennessee with the modern medical standards while maintaining physician oversight and accountability. I respectfully ask for your support. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have individuals who'd like to speak if anybody in the committee is obliged to that. I'm not seeing any. Mr. Clerk, open the vote. All those in favor of House Bill 0658, vote aye. All those opposed, no. All members voted. Any members wish to change their vote? Not seeing any. Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 7 ayes and 0 nays.
The ayes have it. House Bill 0658 moves on to health full.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, committee.
All right. This moves us back to the front of the calendar. We got House Bill 2090. Chairman Powers. Get a motion. Motion second. Second motion and second. You are properly recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. House Bill 2090 would change the definition of a public swimming pool to not include a privately owned above-ground swimming pool that is located indoors at the location or a location affiliated with a fitness facility, is installed to manufacturer instructions, has controlled access that prevents unauthorized entry by anyone other than faculty staff, has functioning equipment necessary to ensure the safety, water, quality, and cleanliness, and is used only by faculty, staff, and students for the purpose of swimming instruction, and is not used for rental, parties, or open swimming lessons for fitness, only by fitness facility members or customers. The reason for the exclusion that we're trying to get today is because there's no permit for this type of pool. My constituents have tried to apply for a permit, but there is nothing like that that's regulated with a fitness facility for an above-ground pool with the state of Tennessee. So they constructed the pool to these specifications that I mentioned, and I have someone here to testify on what they encountered when they installed it and what they've encountered since that point in time. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to come and testify, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Without objection, we'll go out of session. And would Mr. Tim or Miss Julie Zupanik come forward, please? And anybody else? There you go. Thank you, guys. State your name for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Julie Zupancic. Me and my husband and I have owned and operated a fitness facility in Campbell County since 2006. In February of 2024, we added an above-ground pool for one purpose: private swim lessons. It is strictly instructional, serving 1 or 2 students at a time with direct supervision in a controlled teaching environment. Before opening this facility, I taught swim lessons for over 5 years in my backyard pool during the summer months. And during that time, I saw an overwhelming need in our rural community, with me being the only one offering this service within a 40-minute drive. I had more students that I could accommodate and maintained a long waiting list of families. This need is what led us to create a year-round solution. But building an indoor public pool facility would cost over $500,000, which simply was not feasible. Before installing our above-ground pool into our facility, we researched permits. The only permits available applied to large public in-ground pools. We are neither public nor in-ground, so we proceeded. For over a year and a half, we operated safely, and over 600 students were enrolled in private lessons. Parents scheduled the appointment, arrived for their lesson, and I personally escorted them through a locked gate to the pool. The child enters the water with me and has direct supervision at all times with the parent present on deck. After being open for a year and a half, a health department employee noticed our sign and visited our facility. She acknowledged that our setup appeared safe, but was unsure how to classify us. After a follow-up visit 3 weeks later, we were shut down, not for a safety violation, but because a permit could not be issued. Our above-ground instructional pool does not meet the construction standards designed for large public in-ground pools. We worked diligently with the department, reviewing each code and proposing reasonable solutions where structural changes were not possible. We requested variances, but those were denied, and this is why we're here today. This is not a safety issue. This is a regulatory gap. This is not about changing the law. It's about clarifying it so that small instructional pools can operate safely and legally. A pool used for 1 or 2 students at a time should not be regulated the same as a pool serving 100 to 200 people. I'm a certified swim instructor, CPR certified. We have AED on site. Our water is tested multiple times a day, and it's professionally tested every 2 weeks, and safety is our top priority, or else these parents would not be bringing their children to us. Within 24 hours of sharing this bill, our 1,400 followers, over 180 people in our community expressed their support, sharing their trust in our program and the need for these lessons, especially living so close to Norris Lake. Families in our community are going without this opportunity, not because it isn't safe, but because it's not clearly defined. I respectfully ask you to support this bill so we can continue serving our community and keep the children safe around the water. Thank you for your consideration and time.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions for the sponsor or for the speakers? Yep, Representative McKenzie, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for being so willing to teach our children how to swim. It's extremely important, like you said, especially in the area that you have so much water in and around it. I guess my it sounds like you've built a safe facility, but my concern is not for yours, but if we open up this thing statewide, I would say, generally speaking, above ground pools structurally aren't as secure as in ground. It's in concrete, whereas other ones, some kind of membrane and a metal structure in and around it. So that's my concern in terms of what we don't want is a proliferation of these, because that's kind of the easy button for some of these other facilities. If we pass this law, these things could start popping up, and they don't have the same value for safety and commitment to structural and chemical safety that you have. So that's my concern with this. So can you alleviate this concern in terms of this being how do we standardize this to make all of them look like yours? But so that's my concern. And then my question to you is, you spoke of the large in-ground pools and things of that nature, but you could also go a smaller in-ground pool and it not cost $500,000. So how would you respond to that? Can you just retrofit yours to a smaller pool to give these lessons?
Yeah. Do you want to answer that?
Well, from the billing standpoint, I'm sorry, I'm Tim Zupancic, the
Co-owner.
co-owner. And I priced a building alone, just that would cover that. Just the shell of the building was $500,000. That's why how I said that came up with that number. So even with a smaller pool, just having to get that build out, I still feel like we're getting that. Like I say, that's just the return on our investment of that is just not going to happen. We're coaches at heart. And that's why we just try to help kids in all fields. But so from that aspect, that's why we didn't approach that. Now, the pool structure we got, it's called the Admiral Walk. It is designed structured with everything. That's why we picked it, because the structure of it showed the stability in the walls, how that it just was much more stable. And I had the original papers on that have the signature of the engineer on it, how they engineered it and all that. So, I mean, I feel like I understand your point, but I feel like this was a very solid structure, and that's why we chose to go with it. We felt like it was the safest bound, where the deck itself is included in the structure. That's where it gets it. It's not a normal pool where they got the vinyl walls or each individual slabs. So structurally speaking, I do feel, and I don't know if that's maybe something we can put in, that it has to be this particular structure in itself, if that would help the cause in any sense. But I do understand that not everyone might have the same cares that we do about safety and just professionalism on that side thing. But
I think the bill is really specific in saying it has to be in the fitness facility, one-on-one instruction only. It's very specific, so they would have to follow those guidelines.
Representative Mitchell, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. What were the specific structural and construction guidelines that you couldn't reach?
so, of course, the main one, just to start out with, can't have a vinyl liner. Of course, naturally, being an above-ground pool, it's a vinyl liner. We're just forming a big area is the decking. Our decking has 18 inches around 3 sides of it, and then we have a 5-foot deck where everyone comes in initially. But so apparently the regulations are a minimum of 4 feet minimum, and that's kind of structurally impossible because like I say, the pool designed is with that. But now, and my argument to that is that we do have enough space, 18 inches, where we could go around, treat the pool. If we need to get in to grab, you could sit on the side if need be. But like with our situation where we just do one-on-one instruction, the instructor's in the pool with the person at all times anyways. They could easily just pick the kid up, or it's a 4-foot pool. But that's one of the big ones. And then there's other things about water flow, which our pool is designed to meet the water flow demands that came with the program, so that the water recirculates every 6 hours. So why they have different numbers, ours would meet the return rate. And then some of the little things I think everybody would be okay with like 2 ladders into the pool. Obviously, the size of our pool wouldn't need 2 ladders. I think that would just have to be a, give and take on some things. But there's stuff, everything from the size of the piping to floor drains and things like that, that just aren't really practical to put into that way the pool's already structured, basically changing the structure of a pool. But from my understanding, I think the decking is a big one. And I was surprised because we have decking, we have enough to get around it. And just between the structure and just where it's at, it's like, it's impossible to make that change.
You good there? I'd like to bring up the department, if you don't mind, if Grayson's here, at least he might be able to answer a little bit more of those questions on the detail aspect of what you guys are having to look at. Don't mind stating your name for the record and whom you're with, sir.
Yes, my name's Grayson Carter. I'm with Tennessee Department of Health. Thank you, Chairman and Committee. We have actually been in communication about this issue. I believe the first communication that I saw was in September of last year. The biggest issue is the decking. So a type B pool, which is one used for swimming lessons, akin to what their purpose is, has to be 4 foot in diameter around. And that's for the safety of, if anybody were to drown, you have enough room to pull them out and do CPR if needed. They had requested variances. That one we cannot budge on. It's a safety issue. All the others, the lighting, pool, we can work with them to get, but that is kind of our hard stop. Because how the pool is designed now has that 5 foot deck on one side, then the 18 inches and only one entrance and exit. So it's looking out for public safety is that requirement.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for the department or the speakers? Thank you guys for coming to testify. Without objection, we'll go back into session. Any questions for the sponsor? Not seeing any. Mr. Clerk, open the vote. All those in favor of House Bill 2090, press aye. All those opposed, no. Have all members voted? Any members wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 3 ayes and 4 nays.
The nays have it. House Bill 2090 fails. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee.
This moves us on to item number 2, House Bill 1495 by Chairman Slater. Get a motion. Second. Motion and second. Sir, you are properly before us. A little more energy in here, I know. I believe you got an amendment with this bill.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. I do come bearing an amendment this week, and it is drafting code 015838.
That is right. Get a motion and second. All those in favor of the amendment, say aye. Aye, opposed, no. Ayes have it. You are now properly before us, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. Last week, as I stood before you bringing this bill, there were some questions, especially related to ratios. And so I worked with the department on this. They are deferred on this. They don't have any issue with it. They're here ready to testify if that's necessary, but I've confirmed that with them today just before committee. I'd like to point out in the amendment language what is currently in law, because I think that perhaps last week I gave the impression that any and all adult could attend a respite care, but it already is in statute that there is the language states appropriate adults. For example, a program with a sole purpose, and this is the definition of a limited respite care services program, is a program with a sole purpose to provide primary caregivers of appropriate adults with relief from normal caregiving duties and responsibilities. I'll go down to what then is an appropriate adult. An appropriate adult then is one who can function in a group setting. So these are functioning adults. they can function within a group setting. Number two, these are adults who can feed and perform toilet functions without the assistance of a personal aide accompanying them. So these are adults who can function in a group setting, can feed themselves. They need no assistance when it comes to any using the restroom, that type of thing. And these facilities these respite care centers do not administer medications to adults while they're under the program's care. Here's where the substantive change comes in with this amendment, and you'll see that under section F. And the amendment states that these exempt facilities maintain at least the same direct care staff to participant ratio required for licensed adult day services centers by rules promulgated pursuant to 712412 and enforced as licensing rules under 712409. So this would mirror, these exempt centers would mirror the ratios, participant to staff ratios that are in adult day centers. We do have some individuals, I think, who would like to testify. Same individual who was opposed last week, and then, but we do have someone who would like to speak in favor of the bill at the will of the chair and the committee.
Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate you working on an amendment as well as we had a discussion last week on this bill. Members of the committee, further questions for the sponsor? Or yes, Chairman, you're recognized.
Thank you. I appreciate you working on the language. You brought it to me earlier this week. We didn't really get into discussion, but is someone, based upon the definition that you referenced, that someone that qualified, would someone with Alzheimer's qualify under that
Chairman, you're recognized.
definition? It seems like they would, I guess, where I'm at.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It would depend on which stage they were in Alzheimer's. As you know, there's a spectrum when it comes to that. If their Alzheimer's disease was at a point to where they could not function in a group setting, and to me, that would be that they were fully unaware of where they were and just wandering aimlessly, which is unfortunate, but of course, part of that spectrum of Alzheimer's, then that would not fall within that definition. Or they weren't capable of feeding themselves or toilet. Yes.
Yep. Thank you.
Representative McKenzie, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm on F. Is there anything on these two sections of code? I don't have my books with me, but in terms of the staff, is there anything embedded in these two codes that are cited that talks about their training and qualification? And if not, what is their training and qualification to become staff?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for that question. So what I did since last week, and I'm much well versed than I was last week, but I've read the rules and regulations for adult day services centers. There are 41 pages. Now, it would be dishonest to say that I read every single word, all right? But I did focus on those 41 pages, especially on your question. And what I found is that, for example, in full adult day service centers, which this, of course, is not. It's not open as many days a week, hours of the day, so on and so forth. But even in a full day service center, my understanding of that reading is that the requirement for the director is one thing, but when it comes to staff, then the requirement is a high school diploma or a GED. And if I read it correctly, there's even some reduction even to that requirement. So I did not, in my understanding, see that there was any requirement that was a lot of training as it relates to adult day services as far as general staff. And I'm only going off of my understanding of reading those regulations.
Representative, yes, sir.
So a quick follow-up on that. So does this bill require the owner, the leader, the pastor, whoever's running this respite center to have additional training and qualification?
Yes, sir.
I would have to defer that question because I don't want to speak out of turn to, it would fall underneath, as far as ratios is concerned, it would fall underneath this code. But I wouldn't step out and give you an answer there.
Representative Gant, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. So your assessment is there is no formal training?
You're recognized.
As it relates to staff,
Yes.
what I would say in my reading of it is that there is minimal standards as it relates to staff members. And even in adult service centers, there can be volunteers. In fact, one place, and I can't quote it verbatim, but in one place, high school students can come in and volunteer. Of course, they would be supervised and that type of a thing. I did not find any extraordinary training or for staff members when it came to adult service centers.
Okay.
Representative Gant.
So if there's really limitation there, there's probably not any background checks being done either, right?
You're recognized.
Thank you. And I believe, and once again, it was 44 pages, all right? So I believe that, yes, that there are background checks that are required. Fingerprint screening, background checks, those typical things that fall under DHS when it comes to caring for anyone other than family members. And so, yes, I believe that those are there. And
So there is, on record, you're saying there is background checks done?
I would want to make sure that we had that correct, either from legal or from the department. I don't want to give you misinformation.
Right.
Let's go out of session and ask legal that question without objection.
Heather Asbell, Legal Services, and TCA 712403, it discusses how a review of all records and registries set for shall be conducted for all new employees or for volunteers who are counted in the staff adult participant ratio, and those volunteers who have unsupervised access to adult participants in adult day centers, service centers, and including that as a criminal background history. But the department might be able to give more detailed information if necessary.
Thank you. While we're out of session, we're going to bring up the department real fast. We have a question for you. So please come forward and state your name for the record.
Good afternoon, Callan Baggett, Assistant Commissioner for the Department of Human Services.
Chairman Terry, do you have a question? No, it's for you.
For the record, I think Heather did a great job explaining it.
Never mind. Nope, Representative Gant, you're recognized.
So can you tell us that background checks are required in this legislation?
For a regulated adult day service program, background checks would be required. I do not believe that it would occur under an exempt one. I can get back to you, but
So it would not?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
And I've sent a text asking to confirm.
And
Representative Gant, you're recognized.
yeah, can you summarize the accountability the DHS provides to these exempt facilities?
Yes, sir. Sorry, Chairman.
Oh, you're good.
So for an exempt facility, they are outside of our licensure regulation, but if we do receive a health or a safety complaint, we do have the ability to go in and check on that facility. Because they are registered with us, we are aware of these facilities. They do agree that if there's a health or safety incident, we are able to step in.
So there's really no accountability from DHS on these exempt facilities?
They are exempt from our licensure.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any further questions for the Representative McKenzie? Yes, sir.
Not so fast. Thank you, Chair. But just real quick, the same question on that leader. The sponsor talked about the leader having additional levels of training to operate these day services. With these exempt entities, do they have the training? Is there a requirement for the training for the leader?
I apologize. I do not believe so since they are exempt, but I can confirm that and get back to the committee before full.
Any further questions for the department? Not seeing any. Without objection, we'll go back into session. Chairman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. Just before I kind of close, as far as, I think that we're entering into a very slippery slope. Don't forget as well that these are exempt because they're related to religious organizations. Does it mean that we're going to start stepping into the church nursery to figure out what the qualifications are? Are we going to start regulating a vacation Bible school? Are we going to start regulating an after-school program? Those are children. It's difficult for me to see where we might be headed when we say, okay, here are adults bringing loved ones, adults who can function. And we're going to begin a regulatory process when it comes to churches and religious organizations. This exemption was carved out purposely. It's in the current law right now, who it affects. And it affects churches. I think it's very dangerous for us. I was happy to bring this amendment with some extra regulation. The only thing the original bill did was just say, hey, listen, we're already exempt. We're already serving so many hours. We're serving 12 hours a week. An adult who can function, can attend one of these respite care centers for 12 hours. The original bill just says, okay, we're going to take that to 16. And these facilities that are exempt already, which, by the way, hopefully this passes. But if it doesn't pass, this exemption still stays in place. We just came before this committee to say, listen, it would be helpful to parents or to caregivers, not to parents, but to caregivers to have more opportunity. And it would be helpful for these respite care centers that are church related, the religious organizations, to go ahead and instead of just being able to have 15, to have 20. And so with that, I stand ready for any other questions.
Representative Mitchell, did you have one?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Mr. Chair. I think what's dangerous is trying to hide behind the shield of religion and try to get us where we're not protecting the safety of vulnerable individuals, and you even extend it on to children with daycare centers. I think the general public wants us to regulate daycare centers and our vulnerable adults, whether a church is taking care of them or it's a private entity taking care of them. It's our job for the public safety, and religion does not give you a right to endanger people. So to use that's what's dangerous.
Chairman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I would just point out again that was why the legislature took a look at this previously and said, okay, there is space for exemptions here. The analogy of perhaps a Parents' Day Out program would be a better analogy than a daycare center, church daycare center, because those do fall under either DHS or they fall under the Department of Education. So I stand ready for any other questions.
Any further questions for the sponsor? Not seeing any. Mr. Clerk, open the vote. All those in favor of House Bill 1495, press aye. All those opposed, no. All members voted. Any members wish to change their vote? Not seeing any. Mr. Clerk, open the vote or count the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 4 ayes, 2 nays, and 2 present not voting.
The ayes have it. House Bill 1495 moves on to House held full.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee.
All right, that brings us up to item number 3, House Bill 2353 by Chair Lady Littleton. There she is. Motion and second. Ma'am, I believe you have an amendment with this bill?
I do. It is 14130.
That's correct. A motion second. All those in favor of adding the amendment, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You are properly before us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got caught in the traffic back there. This is called the Safe for Kids Act, and it creates a 2-year pilot program within the Tennessee Department of Human Services to strengthen the oversight of the state's child care payment assistance program. This pilot will use modern tools, including fraud detection, attendance tracking, and artificial intelligence to identify irregular payment patterns and improve program accountability. The technology is an advisory only, meaning it cannot determine eligibility, provider participation, or enforcement action. Those decisions remain with the state officials. The program runs from July 1 to 2026 through June 30th, 2028, and requires DHS to contact with qualified third-party vendor through normal procurement law, and is funded using existing payment integrity reserve funds without a new state appropriation. This bill is in response to the child care fraud that was uncovered in Minnesota. We want to make sure that that doesn't happen here in Tennessee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Any questions for the sponsor? Not seeing. Question on the bill. Mr. Clerk, open the vote. All those in favor of House Bill 2353, press aye. All those opposed, no. Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 7 ayes and 0 nays.
The ayes have it. House Bill 2353 moves on to Health 4.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
This moves us up to item number 5, House Bill 2413 by Representative Love. Got a motion and second. I believe you have an amendment with this, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. The amendment number is 015392.
That's what I have. Let's get that on a motion and second. That's proper for us. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. You are properly before us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee members, in 2025, TASER had a study report called Improving Policies and Addressing Regulatory Barriers to Growth and Support Tennessee's Child Care Industry. In that report, they listed out several things that could be done to increase access to persons seeking to start child care agency facilities. And one of those was reducing zoning restrictions and also reducing red tape. And so this piece of legislation seeks to do that. And the amendment talks about finding ways to reduce the redundancy that's oftentimes in these applications, but also to align themselves with issues, particularly around fire marshal inspections. And that's what the bill does. The amendment speaks to that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Representative Love. Any questions for the sponsor? Not seeing any. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote. All those in favor of 2413, press aye. All those opposed, no. Have all members voted? Yes, sir. Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 7 ayes and 0 nays.
The ayes have it. House Bill 2413 moves on to Health 4.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee
Congratulations,
members.
sir. Item number, well, he is here. There we go. Item number 6, House Bill 1887 by Representative Stevens. I believe you have an amendment with this, sir.
I actually have 2 separate amendments.
Okay, 2 separate amendments. Get a motion in the second. Motion second.
First one is 14244.
That's what we have. All those in, motion second. All those in favor adding that on, say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. And you also have?
It's 15753.
Yeah, motion second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. All right. I believe you're properly before us now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill started when a nonprofit in Rutherford County had to shut down a service it was offering to children that are very severely disabled. And of course, the users of that service came and asking us for help to figure out how we could provide some care and service for these kids. We looked at what other states do, including Florida and Texas and Ohio, and came up with some of the ideas that they use. One of those is called Prescribed Pediatric Extended Care. And the original bill would allow the state to license these facilities statewide, but the fiscal note came back really, really high. So the amended version that you have in front of you now is just a pilot program for Rutherford County, and it would allow the Department of Disability and Aging to license 1 facility. and provide services to these children so we can figure out what are best practices, what are ways we can improve it, or maybe even keep our costs lower than expected. And so the bill requires the department to apply for a waiver from Medicaid to provide this service, and it has all kinds of rules in there about how it works.
Any questions for the sponsor? You did a good job. Mr. Clerk, open the vote. All those in favor of House Bill 1887, press aye. All those opposed, no. Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 6 ayes and 0 nays.
The ayes have it. House Bill 1887 moves on to health full. Nope. What's that? We'll roll those two amendments together. First time to do that, Representative Stevens, so now I know. There we go. That's right. All right, this brings us up to item number 7, House Bill 2415 by Representative Stevens. We got a motion and second, and I believe you have an amendment again.
That's correct. It's 14653.
I've got that one. Let's get that. A motion and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Now you are properly before us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill would create a hospital security grant program to be administered by the Tennessee Department of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Representative. Any questions for the sponsor? Not seeing any. Mr. Clerk, open the vote. House Bill 2415. All those in favor press aye. Opposed, no. Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 6 ayes and 0 nays.
The ayes have it. House Bill 2415 moves on to health full.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
This brings us up item number 9, House Bill 1160 by Chair Lady Lynn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
A motion, second, motion and second. You are now properly before us, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill 1160 is the Psychotropic Medication Informed Consent and Reporting Act. And what this bill would do is require prescribers to provide patients or parents with the FDA product label and any FDA required med guide information for psychotropic medications, and to review that information with the patient or the parent to obtain the patient or parent signature acknowledging that they received that information, and also to disclose the specific risks of any combination of these drugs that the patient may encounter. Psychotropic drugs are those that have a direct effect on the central nervous system and are capable of changing mood, perceptions, and behavior. These drugs are commonly prescribed for ADHD, depression, anxiety, sleep issues, and many others. These drugs carry the FDA's most serious warning called the black box warning. And for adults, serious risks can include suicide, violent behavior, cardiac events, akathisia, a state of severe internal restlessness linked to violence and suicide, tardive dyskinesia, involuntary repetitive body movements that are often permanent and severe with withdrawal effects that can persist long after the drug is discontinued. And for children, you can add to that list aggression, seizures, stunted growth, and permanent changes for the developing brain, risks that are magnified in infants and toddlers with neurological effects. Now, there is already a law in Tennessee since 1985 that psychiatric hospitals and residential facilities have to go over this information with their patients. But what we're asking for is that any patient who is put on one of these psychotropic medications for the first time have this information and counseling. 1 in 4 Tennessee adults is currently on a psychotropic medication. 1 in 12 Tennessee children is on a psychotropic drug. But if you're in foster care, 1 in 3 foster children are on a psychotropic medication. And studies show that the majority of patients and parents report that they were not adequately told of the risks of taking the drug or the risks when they attempt to stop taking the drug, especially if that drug is spontaneously stopped. There are real risks involved. And all patients deserve this information. If you walk into any psychiatrist's office, primary care clinic, pediatrician's office, or state community healthcare center and are prescribed the exact same drug with the exact same black box warning, there is no requirement that you be given written warnings. But if you're in a psychiatric hospital or a residential facility as an inpatient, that will happen. So there's quite a difference here about the way Tennesseans are treated when they're patients. And as members of the General Assembly, we vote on budgets of fund TennCare, and we spend $480 million each year in TennCare on psychotropic drugs, and we spend countless more on medical costs. This bill isn't about discouraging the use of this medication, but it's really about informed consent. The second part of this bill requires that any side effects be recorded on the federal government's already existing site, MedWatch, without these side effects being consistently reported, especially when there's combinations of drugs. We can't have enough information to make the best decisions for Tennesseans. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I do have a couple of people here to testify, and I welcome any questions on this bill, so thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Oh. We did not add the amendment to your bill.
Oh, you're correct. Forgive me. Amendment number 015692.
That is correct. We got a motion second on that. All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed, no. Do it. Yeah, so now we'll go out of session and let your individual speak if you don't mind that traveled.
Thank you,
No.
Mr. Chairman.
Without objection, we'll go out of session. Ma'am, if you don't mind stating your name for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes.
Great. It's off. It's on. Great. Chairman and members of the committee, my name is Kim Witzak, and I traveled here from Minnesota to support House Bill 1160. I served 3 consecutive terms as consumer representative on the FDA Psychopharmacologic Drugs Advisory Committee, reviewing new psychiatric drugs coming to market. And I was also deeply involved in the efforts that led to the FDA adding black box suicide warnings to antidepressants in 2004 and 2006. But that's not where my story began. 22 years ago, I learned the hard way what happens when patients are not told the full risks of the drug. My husband, Woody, who is not depressed, had just started his dream job with a startup company, having trouble sleeping. His doctor prescribed Zoloft and told him it would take the edge off and help him sleep. There was no discussion about side effects, no informed consent. 5 weeks later, while I was out of town, I got a phone call that no wife, no husband, and no parent should ever receive. My dad called to tell me Woody had hung himself from the rafters of our garage. The week before he died, Woody sat in fetal position on our kitchen floor with his hands wrapped around his head like a vice, crying, "Kim, help me. I don't know what's happening. My head is outside my body looking in. I'm losing my mind." We had no idea that he was suffering a severe drug reaction called akathisia. If he had been informed of what this side effect was, we would have maybe known. This binder here contains internal drug company and FDA documents that were obtained during my litigation after Woody died. You'd be shocked if you saw these documents. Due to the efforts of many people, the labels of psychotropic drugs now list warnings, yet patients and their families still are not told. Just 2 weeks ago, I had a mother contact me. Her 12-year-old daughter, London, was prescribed an antidepressant for social anxiety and told it was the safest option out there. 23 days later, she killed herself. I wish this was rare. It's not. Psychotropic drugs are increasingly prescribed to teenagers and children, sometimes even toddlers as young as 2, often off-label and sometimes in multiple drug combinations. These powerful mind-altering drugs carry serious side effects, including withdrawal, psychosis, suicidality, violence, and long-term sexual dysfunction known as PSSD. After serving on the FDA Advisory Committee for 9 years, I can tell you this: the system is designed to promote benefits and downplay the harms. One of the biggest problems we have in our drug safety system is that many adverse events are never reported to the FDA's MedWatch system, meaning our regulators, our doctors, and the public never see the full picture. This bill is a much overdue step to ensure patients and parents are told the facts and serious adverse events are reported. Informed consent is not a barrier to care. It is care. So I urge you to pass this bill. Thank you, and I'm open to questions.
Thank you, Ms. Kim, for coming and for traveling, and thank you for being a voice for your husband. And we appreciate you making the journey from Minnesota to be here with us today. Any members, questions for the presenter? Not seeing any. Thank you very much. We'll go, without objection, go back in session. Madam Chair, yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman. I have a loved one who was prescribed a medication for depression, had a black box warning. She was not informed of the potential side effects. And in the course of about 8 months, she tried to commit suicide 3 times. The 3rd time, my husband said, "This is not her. She's never done this before. Maybe it's that medication." And we looked it up ourselves. And yes, suicidal tendencies were a side effect of that medication. She did not know. He did not know. And the prescriber repeatedly prescribed it month after month, even after all those suicide attempts. Thank God she was not successful, because we need her. We love her. But that is why I feel so passionate about this bill. I do think that all Tennesseans need to be informed of potential side effects. Even if they decide to take the drug anyway, they can share that with loved ones, and they themselves will realize that it could be a side effect of the medication and not just their situation and circumstances in life. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any more questions? Chairman Williams, you're recognized.
Thank you. You and I have known each other a long time. I knew a little bit about, so I know how important this is to you. And you're right. We can do something. I think there's some challenges, obviously, with how is the best way to do that. And I want to try to figure out how to do it. The language and the challenges associated with how to do it is somewhat difficult. I don't really like the way it's currently, the mechanism by way it's currently doing. And so I've had every intention of coming in here, but I quite frankly had forgotten about your family. I'm not voting for this bill, but I was going to ask you if you mind if we rolled it to the Hill. We're going to have we'll roll it to the Hill, and you and I'll get together and see if we can try to find something that's amenable in the meantime. So if that's okay, proper motion, Chairman, I'd like to do that.
Madam.
And is that the heel of today's calendar or?
We're on the final, so it'll be the heel
oh,
of the
you're on the
calendar.
final.
Yep, so
Of
it would
today.
be
Yeah.
next
Well, what
week.
would it, we're not going to get done with this calendar
Oh,
day
okay.
in spite of
All right.
the chairman's
So.
skills.
Goals. It would be the heel of this calendar, so probably
Gotcha.
next
Next
Wednesday.
week.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Without objection, we'll roll to the hill. Thank
Thank
you, ma'am. Let's get this one. On the calendar. There. Let's go out of order just briefly. House Bill 2337. Chairman McCalman. All right. Get a motion. Second, motion and second, and you are properly, I believe you have an amendment with this bill, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do indeed. I am just double checking to make sure I have the right amendment. I have drafting code 012880.
That is correct. A motion second. Motion second. All those in favor of adding on the amendment, say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. The ayes have it. You're properly before us, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, members. What this bill essentially does, it's a bill of general application, but the particularities in this bill would apply only to my county of Williamson regarding the sale of the Williamson County Hospital. It would allow with a 2/3 vote from the county commission to utilize the proceeds of the sale of the hospital after debt service to be utilized for other county projects such as debt service, schools, new county jail, or whatever the county commission desired to utilize the proceeds on. And with that, I stand ready for any questions y'all might have.
Thank you, sir. Excuse me. Thank you, sir. Any question? Chairman Williams.
Let me give you a reprieve. Obviously, this is something that's important to your district. I guess my question is how many other, do you have any idea how many other hospitals this might apply to? It seems, obviously it's only applying to this one hospital, but there aren't that many hospitals that are private act hospitals in the state. I guess my question is why not just make it for everybody? It just makes it permissible.
Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Chairman Williams. We went this direction at the suggestion of our stalwart Attorney General.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions for the sponsor? Not seeing any. Mr. Clerk, open the vote. All those in favor of House Bill 2337, press aye. All those opposed, no. All members voted. Any members wish to change their vote? Not seeing any. Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 6 ayes and 0 nays.
The ayes have it. House Bill 2337 moves on to health full.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
We'll go back out of order one more time. House Bill 2245 by 2246. Representative Hurt, you are motion and second. You are properly before us. Does this bill have an amendment?
Yes, sir, it does.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Which draft code is that? Sorry, sir.
I'm showing 015827.
That's what I got. Okay. We got a motion and second on that one. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, sir. Now you're properly before us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman Committee. This amendment makes the bill, this legislation as amended, has been worked on collaboratively with several different stem cell therapy practices across the state, as well as the Tennessee Medical Association. Stem cell therapy is at the forefront of modern medicine. The practice uses living stem cells to treat a growing number of diseases, injuries, and disorders. Stem cell therapy is also unregulated in the state of Tennessee. This bill creates guardrails both for ethical and medical reasons to protect patients and ensure that stem cell therapy is practiced in Tennessee is held to the highest standards. This includes things like prohibitions on the use of embryos from aborted fetuses, cell viability reporting requirements, safety measures for storage, and FDA and CLIA regulatory requirements. As amended, this bill ensures that people in Tennessee have access to safe and effective, transparent stem cell treatment. And with that, Mr. Chair, I will take questions.
Thank you, Mr. Sponsor. We do have an individual that traveled to testify. Would anybody need to hear from him? Not seeing any. Mr. Clerk, open the vote. All those in favor of House Bill 2246, moving on to healthful, vote aye. All those opposed, no. Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 7 ayes and 0 nays.
The ayes have it. House Bill 2246 moves on to healthful.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee.
We'll go out of order one more time, then we'll get back out of order. Hopefully, House Bill 34, or no, item number 34, House Bill 2562 by Chairman Terry. Get a motion and second. We are properly before us. Do you have amendment with the bill, sir?
Yes, amending drafting code 015798.
We will get that on. All those in favor of that amendment, say aye. Nope, a motion and second on that one. Motion.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Now you're properly before us.
All right, thank you, Chairman and committee, for getting this in front of us. And I'm presenting this for House Bill 2569 as part of Governor Lee's Rural Health Transformation proposal. In order to promote nutrition in the medical field and bring our physicians up to date on nutrition standards, this bill would have our state create a 1-hour continuing medical education course for physicians. The physician will need to complete this CME once, and the boards will promulgate rules to effectuate this act. And because this is going to be funded through Rural Health Transformation Plan funds, the CME will be free of charge to physicians.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any questions for the chairman? Not seeing any. Oh, Chairman Williams.
So will those reimbursements through the Rural Health Transformation Act monies, will those go to metropolitan medical providers or just rural ones?
Chairman, you're recognized.
This is for the physicians. It's going to be free of charge for the physicians to take the CME.
I know, but if you're giving it to everybody in the entire state, it's really not providing rural benefit. It's providing all benefit. So I just wondered if from a funding perspective, if you spend that money, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
If you spend that money and it doesn't meet the federal guidelines, then those physicians in Nashville may not get those monies, or it would put us in jeopardy with the federal guidelines, is I guess what I'm saying. But maybe we'll talk about that between here and there.
Any further questions for the sponsor? Not seeing any. Mr. Clerk, open the vote. All those in favor of House Bill 2562, press aye. All those opposed, no. All members voted. Any members wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 6 ayes, 0 nays, and 1 present not voting.
The ayes have it. House Bill 2539 moves on to healthful. Nope, geez. 2562 moves on to healthful. Look at the wrong bill. We'll go out of order one more time because I see Chairman over there. Chairman Kumar, House Bill 2539. We do have several amendments with this bill. Get a motion and second here properly, and we have some traveling with it, or?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 2 amendments. The first one is 012037.
Yeah. Get a motion and second on that one. Motion second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. The ayes have it. And your next motion, your next amendment, sir?
Is 015671.
Get a motion and second on that. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Ayes have it. Now you're properly recognized, Chairman.
Thank you. We'll try to roll them into one. That is quite fashionable these days. House Bill 2539 is the Consolidation of Regulatory Efficiency, CORE Act. This legislation is designed to streamline and modernize licensure operations for various healthcare professions in the state. It accomplishes this goal in three ways. First, it creates the agency of commissioner issued licenses for 8 boards, an agency of commissioner issued licenses. These are licenses that have been issued by various department commissioners. Secondly, it rearranges and sunsets 7 boards that would be best served in a different configuration. This is reorganization at its best. Third, it gives the Commissioner of Health the ability to promulgate rules when a board fails to promulgate new rules in response to this legislation. The legislation will remove unnecessary delays and red tape, saving Tennesseans time and money. By passing this legislation, we will be able to promulgate rules in a timely manner. The Department of Health is here to answer the difficult questions.
Thank you, Chairman. Let's go ahead and roll those two into one, if you guys don't mind. All those get a motion and second, roll those two amendments into one. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Now, we're good. Any follow-up questions for the sponsor or the department before us? Not seeing any. Mr. Chairman, or Mr. Clerk, please open the vote. All those in favor of House Bill 2539, press aye. All those opposed, no. All members voted. Any? Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 7 ayes, 0 nays.
The ayes have it. House Bill 2539 moves on to health full.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
All right, now we're going to be back on schedule. House Bill, or number 11, House Bill 0853 by Representative Renaud. Get a motion and second. And I believe you have amendments as well.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that's 13710.
Got a motion and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No, the ayes have it. Ma'am, you are properly before us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. This is a clarification bill to ensure that the Family Rights and Responsibilities Act passed by this General Assembly in 2024 is applied consistently across Tennessee Code. That act affirmed a fundamental principle, and that was that parents have the right to access their child's medical records and remain involved in their child's health care. But not all codes of section were updated to reflect that standard, particularly TCA 33-8-202, and that gap is creating real problems right now for Tennessee families. There is currently an open case in Williamson County involving a 16-year-old girl receiving mental health treatment. When the mother attempted to follow up with the facility about her daughter's condition, the provider refused to share any information citing this code that is currently open. And then the court ultimately ruled that the treatment decisions belong to the minor and not the parents. So despite this act passing, the Williamson County Court ruled that this code loophole effectively overrides the parental rights by allowing the minor to make those treatment decisions and not giving those records to the parent. So this corrects the inconsistency and brings the related statutes across the code in alignment with the Family Rights and Responsibilities Act to clarify that parents do in fact retain the right to access their unemancipated child's medical records, including mental health records, rehabilitation records, and prescription records in each of those sections. With that, I stand ready for questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions for the sponsor? We do have individuals that could speak if anybody is requesting from the committee. Not seeing any. Mr. Clerk, open the vote. All those in favor of House Bill 853, press aye. All those opposed, no. All members voted. Any members wish to change their vote? Not seeing any. Mr. Clerk, open the vote, or count the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 5 ayes and 2 nays.
The ayes have it. House Bill 853 moves on to health full.
Thank you, Chairman.
All right. That brings us up to item number 12, House Bill 2166. Representative Barrett. Got a motion and second. Second. And you do have an amendment with this bill, I believe.
I do, Mr. Chairman. Have drafting code 015769.
That's correct. Get a motion and second on that. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. The ayes have it. You are properly before us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This bill simply seeks to protect statutorily the right of a patient with consultation of their physician to obtain an autologous blood donation or a directed blood donation. And for those of you like myself who didn't know what that word even meant before having this bill, all that means is that if you have a scheduled surgery upcoming and with consultation of your physician, they determine it's in your best interest to donate your own blood ahead of that surgery for use in a transfusion, that you would have the ability to do that. And again, I think just want to stress that the bill requires that this be done with a physician's order. This is not allowing the patients to come in and direct the hospitals what they can and can't do. And with that, Chairman, I'll stand for question, and I do know that there is one witness that has traveled a long way to testify.
Without objection, we will go out of session for the witness. We've got Mr. Ben Voitis and then Miss Liz James.
Thank you, Chairman. Ben Voitis, Tennessee Hospital Association. And thanks to the sponsor for this bill. Hospitals are opposed to this bill. It would cause confusion with the current practice. Currently, under statute 6832-103 already provides clarity on individuals being able to make these donations. They work with their provider, their physician, and they work with the hospitals and they get these done. Currently, we are not aware of any issues across the state of these not being done. The problem we have with this bill is it would mandate the hospitals to accept these with the physician's order. And we see that as an issue. So thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, you may speak your name into the record and whom you're with.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman and committee members, my name is Liz James, and I'm a pharmacist and founder of the nationwide nonprofit Blessed by His Blood. I'm here today in support of House Bill 2166, representing our cooperative members across the country, many of whom are served here in Tennessee. Our advisory board includes multiple current and former and retired blood bank directors who affirm that directed donation is both safe and feasible, especially with modern software already implemented industry-wide. Any perceived barriers are a matter of corporate policy, not regulation, and can be addressed. Tennessee has largely been an amazing state to partner with when facilitating donor-recipient matching. Our work is designed to complement, not compete with, blood banks. By engaging individuals who might not otherwise donate, we actively expand and strengthen the overall blood supply. Unfortunately, not all of your constituents have had good experiences. In 2025, a Tennessee patient almost declined life-saving heart surgery because she was denied the option of direct donor blood. In another case, a family considered leaving the state entirely to obtain care for their infant because the hospital did not align with their beliefs and would not acknowledge their desire for direct donor blood. This would have resulted in significant economic loss to the hospital and state, I might add. Patients will go where they feel heard. According to a 2024 JAMA survey, trust in physicians and hospitals has fallen to approximately 40%, which is an all-time low. Rebuilding that trust will require meaningful partnership between patients and the medical system. When a patient expresses discomfort with a procedure, their concerns should be respected as part of the decision-making process and not dismissed. Opposition to House Bill 2166 largely centers on logistical and financial concerns and glaringly overlooks what matters most: respect for the patient's values and beliefs. Direct donation is not new or experimental. It has been a safe and viable source of blood for decades, particularly during times of shortages or medical uncertainty. And it is critical for populations such as sickle cell or beta thalassemia when transfusion is a regular occurrence. It offers patients a sense of autonomy, safety, and peace of mind, principles that are foundational to clinical ethics. No individual should be forced to accept something into their body that they fear or do not want. This principle is reflected in the U.S. Constitution, supported by Tennessee's GOP 9th guiding principle, and reinforced through the Tennessee Medical Malpractice Act, which codifies informed consent in healthcare. I respectfully ask for your support in House Bill 2166.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions for the presenters? Chairman Hill, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for
the testimony. A question for either one of you. I guess I'm confused because it appears to be already a practice that's available. And was mentioned just a few moments ago that this would mandate, the legislation would mandate the practice or mandate it to be. Could you just go a little bit further on that and why that is, why that's a bad idea or the circumstances as to, or good idea, but what does that really mean? Could you just clarify that?
Yes.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Representative, for the question. Yeah, currently the process is available under statute, and how it works is if someone wants to make a donation of this kind, they would work with their physician, get an order, and work with their hospital, their provider, whoever, to get this done in a manner that is best fits them. What this bill and why this would be a problem is certain hospital facilities work with certain blood banks, and if a physician orders this to be done with a blood bank that the hospital does not work with, that could cause massive confusion with the administrative side of these, when, again, currently there is not an issue in Tennessee hospitals of this happening. We polled our members, and it's not happening in Tennessee.
Thank you, Chair. Ma'am.
May I also respond? As stated, and we have several examples, I just listed two, where while it is available, it is being denied on occasion. And that denial sometimes will happen most definitely at the hospital level and at the blood bank level.
Any further questions? Chairman Terry, yes, sir, you're recognized.
Thank you. And either of you can, Ben may be able to answer this better, but in the amendment, it says a hospital or blood bank may refuse such a donation only when medically contraindicated or incompatible with safety standards. And I guess one of the questions I have is, my understanding is that if you're donating to like your child to have surgery, that in the event that they could get antibodies from that. So in the event that there is a transplant later on, they could potentially reject that transplant. Does this amendment fix that issue, or does that, I can't read that it does.
Sorry.
You're recognized. Yes, sir.
I don't think it does. I think the issue with that language that you initially read was that there are cases in which the facility can reject it in emergency cases. But that's really all this addresses, and that's what currently happens as well.
Okay.
Chairman, you're recognized.
So I guess by the donation and you're getting a child antibodies, they can't say that this is incompatible with safety standards, or they don't say it's medically contraindicated based on the amendment. That's what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
And ma'am, one follow-up.
I would just like to follow up by saying directed donors are come from any place. They're not always blood relatives, which negates this particular issue in most situations. It's been our experience that, in fact, a lot of people for direct donors have no relation at all to the patient.
Any further questions? Without objection, thank you guys for coming and speaking on behalf of the bill. Without objection, we'll go back into session. Representative, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you bear with me just a few minutes, allow me to respond to some of the things that were said there. Again, and Chairman Terry aptly pointing to the amendment that was added. The language was already in here. The amendment just adds blood bank into the conversation along with the hospital as it relates to being able to deny or refuse this donation. And as was testified, this is already in practice. So this statute is just simply codifying a practice that's already in place. Autologous donations and directed donations is not new. It's not experimental. This is something that has been going on for a very long time. We're simply putting statutory protections in place that prevent decisions being made at the executive level instead of at the physician level. And that's why we have in here that this is as a result of a physician's direction or request for this type of donation. The second sentence there saying that a hospital or blood bank may refuse such a donation only when medically contraindicated or incompatible with safety standards is written specifically to give the blood bank and the hospital the ability to weigh in consultation with the physician who is the primary care physician for that patient to advise them of all the issues that may or may not depend upon that particular patient. As we know, all patients are different. Age matters, personal health matters, whatever other comorbidities that patient may or may not have. Their personal physician is the one that has that information and knows it better than anyone. And so when they are making this recommendation on behalf of their patient to have this type of donation be made in advance of a surgery, they're doing so with the knowledge unique to them as to that patient and what's in that patient's best interest. And again, we have passed bills in this legislative body. We did it just last year to create statutory rights for women to receive contraception and to protect IVF when there was no issue currently in the law preventing that. So this is no different than that bill. We're simply trying to create the statutory protection so that in the future it does not become an issue where patients are being denied access to this option.
Chairman Terry, you're recognized.
Thank you for that explanation. So is it your intent that, I mean, physicians, we don't know everything.
Correct. Yes, sir.
If in the event that the physician is ordering it, could the hospital step in and say, hey, here's an issue? Because medically contraindicated, that's kind of specific. And this, I don't know that type of donation, and you're thinking of something in the future, and it may not be medically contraindicated for that, and it may not fall under safety standards, but is it your intent that an amendment, maybe not this, but that it could fall under that and they could have those type of conversations?
Representative, you're recognized.
Yes, and I think, Chairman, the Hippocratic Oath requires all physicians to do what's in the best interest of the patient based on the information that they have available to them at the time. So the way I would think that this would work and my intent for this to work is if a physician makes that request and in consultation with the hospital and the blood bank, they receive information back saying, hey, have you thought of this? Or these are issues with this particular type of patient that may cause problems in the future. That allows everyone to get involved in the conversation to advise that patient before they proceed so that they're making an informed decision.
All right, thank you.
Any more questions for the representative? Not seeing any. Mr. Clerk, open the vote. All those in favor of House Bill 2166, press aye. All those opposed, no. Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 1 aye, 4 nays, and 2 present not voting.
The nays have it. House Bill 2166 fails.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee.
Without objection, we will roll the remaining bills to 1 week. And adjourned.